This is an interesting hand, one I would like to go into a little more detail with. There are 2 limp bets, and in the cutoff with King Jack suited, we open the action to $15. The button calls, and the 2 original limp bets call. 4 ways to a flop of Jack 6-3. Under the gun checks, and under the gun +2 bets $15. I feel like if this player had a jack, it's unlikely to be ace-jack because he would have raised. The small blind or button could have ace-jack because 3 bets are rare in 1-3, especially with a hand like ace-jack. So I have a weird feeling though, and I decided to test the waters and raise the $30. I don't want the button or small blind to come in cheap. So the button folds, but the under the gun player now 4 bets to $60. The original better calls, and now it's on us. Okay, chat, tell me what you would do here. The pot is laying insanely good odds, 7-1. Comment below because I was really up in the air on this one, and we will come back to it. Sorry to leave you hanging, but I have to keep you interested somehow. We start this session of 1-3 at Viking Social Club with a $300 buy-in. Our first hand is 9-10 of hearts. I open to $15, get 2 callers. The flop comes down Jack 6-6 with 2 hearts. Big blind donk leads now for $35. I think we can raise here sometimes with better flush draws like broadways with hearts, but with a paired board we can never have the 100% nuts, but we can still have the best hand if we hit our flush. I think a call is fine as the pot is laying us the right price to call. So I call, player behind us calls. Turn is an offsuit deuce, and now the big blind checks. I think if the big blind flopped a6, this innocuous deuce wouldn't change anything. So I would expect him to keep betting. He doesn't strike me as the tricky type player either. I think we could bet this sometimes and have a good chance of taking the pot right here. If we get called and miss, then we have to either bluff again or give up. Since we are early in our session, I decided to just check here and hope for a free river. I check, and the player in late position behind checks. The river is a non-heart 7. Dang. And now the big blind bets very small, $30. I think my opportunity to bluff was on the turn, so we just fold here. The player behind does make the call, and we get to see both hands. The big blind had King 7 of clubs, and late position player had pocket 9s. Hindsight is 20/20, and I think a big bet on the turn wins us that last hand. Oh well, on to the next hand where we get dealt the Cowboys, pocket kings, under the gun. Let's go. There has been decent action at the table, so we limp, ready to spring the trap and wait for someone to raise. So we can mash that 3 bet, and 1 caller on the button, the small blind completes, and the big blind just checks. No one falls for the oldest trick in the book, and we couldn't be happier to go 4 ways to a flop. As a customary, we are expecting to see an ace on the flop and be done with a hand. But that's not the case. When the flop comes, King 6-7 with 2 diamonds, and we flop top set. The poker gods have blessed us. Small blind and big blind check. Let's continue laying the trap. Since we're so strong, I check. Button, a loose action player, bets $10. Small blind calls, and the big blind folds. Now it's time to start building a pot. So we check raise to $35. Button goes all in for $80. The small blind then folds, and of course we snap call. The button shows 5-3 of diamonds. We are off to the races. The turn is the queen of hearts, and the river is the 4 of diamonds. I guess you win some and you lose some. Not only did we lose to the flush, but he hit a straight also. So there's that. Not too long after that hand, we get dealt. Oh, would you looky here, pocket kings again. We can't lose twice with them, right? We're in the small blind. There's a straddle. There's 2 callers of the straddle, and now it's on to us, and I elect to raise to $25. I get 2 callers of the $25, and we get a flop of Jack 5-6. Now, since I'm first to act, I go ahead and lead for $50. I get 1 caller, and the turn is the king. Since we lost that last pot, we don't have much left. We only have about $80 left in our stack, and I feel like this is, with the pot size, a perfect time to just put it all in and hope that we get called by a jack. So I shove for $80, and sadly he ends up folding. But we still scoop up a nice pot. This game is decent action. And now in this hand, we're in the small blind, and we pick up 2 black 6s. There are 2 limps and then a raise to $17 from the loose action player we've had a few pots with. And I call the $17. The 2 other limpers fold, and we are heads up to a flop that comes down ace, queen, 6 with 2 diamonds. This player is aggressive, and I don't want to take that away from him, so I check. He bets $17. And since he is fairly loose, I'm not worried about check raising this opponent out of the hand, so I check raise to $45. And as expected, he calls. The turn comes in offsuit 9. This is a great card for us, and we're just going to continue betting here, so we make it $50. Once again, our opponent doesn't take too long before he calls. The river is a 4, but not a diamond, and I am sure we have the best hand. With our stack of $80 relative to the pot size, I think we have a clear jam on the river, so we bet the last $80, but we don't get called. He was on a different draw that missed, and he folded. He tells us nice hand and says probably a bluff, so we show him because I really want this opponent to think that when we bet we have it, because we don't always have it, and we will need to bluff against him sometimes. Let me get us back up to speed. There's a bet on the flop of 15. We min raise to 30, and the under the gun min clicks us to 60. Other player calls, and it's on us. I know, it's juicy, but I folded. The turn was a jack, which would have gave us trips. The under the gun goes all in for 200, and the other player folds. I ask him to show one time, and he smiles and shows us pocket 6s for a turned full house. Good fold. We may be getting better at this game after all, but probably not. In this quick hand, we get dealt 5 deuce of spades in the big blind. There are a few limpers. We check. The flop comes down 2 spades, and we check, and the action checks through. The turn is the jack of spades. Bingo, we hit our flush. Now we bet $15. A late position player calls the $15, and now the button decides to raise to $35. We are cautious of this because we have a very small flush. We don't want to get into a betting war, so we just go ahead and smooth call the $35. Also, the other player calls. The river comes a blank, and we check, and the action checks through, and the button ended up having a set of 4s, and we take this one down. We have a player to our left we've been chopping it up with. His name's Joe. He's from Duquesne, learned poker about a year ago, came down here to play. There's a limp in early position from the loose action player we've been mixing it up with. The cutoff raises to $15, and on the button we have pocket 5s. Totally fine to call $15 in position here. Now College Joe decides to 3-bet from the small blind to $50. The early position action player goes all in now for $53. The original raiser folds, and it's on me. I don't put too much stock in the action player's limp all in because he's done this before on other occasions with marginal hands. I know College Joe can't re-raise either, and one time earlier I watched him make this same $50 3-bet in which he folded to a shove and he had pocket 10s. So let's say College Joe's 3-bet range is 10s plus, ace queen suited plus. Playing more sound poker and making sure I pick the best spots to put money in the pot is something I need to do more of. But I've hit a set 3 times tonight. Why not hit a 4th set? I mean, shit, isn't that why everyone calls low pairs? Set mine. Implied odds, donkey. If I do, we get stacks in for $700 pot. Let's go. So we call, and I see a beautiful flop of King 7-5. We flop bottom set. Now College Joe leads for $75. We are salivating, thinking about how we can welcome this kid to poker. He probably has aces, ace king, maybe kings, unlikely queens. We're ahead of 2 of those hands. We are dominating. 1 we are behind. We are salivating, and it's an easy decision. We Hollywood, jam all in. Joe snap calls. That's not good.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Instantly shows king king, set over set. Turn is a 9, river is a jack, and we lose. Joe also needles us by saying nice hand, but then says, I'm sorry, I didn't know what to say. No worries, bro. After this hand, we rebuy for $300, get a seat change far away from college fucking Joe, and take a break. Mid-session update, just took a sick beat, set over set from a newer poker player, Joe. He's from Duquesne, came down here to play, and took our whole stack. So now we're in for 600. Let's see if we can't get it back. We are in our new seat for about 3 hands maybe before we are in the big blind and get dealt 8-9 offsuit. It limps around and I check. The flop comes down ace 6-7 rainbow. I decide to lead for $15 with my draw. If no one has an ace, it's likely they fold, and if I get one caller, I can be fairly certain they have an ace. We do get exactly one caller, and we are off to a gin turn card of the 10 of clubs. I am experimenting with my plays some and trying to extract more value from my nutted hands, so I elect to check here. In hindsight, I could have bet this turn, as I don't think my opponent will put me on the straight very often, and if he has an ace and I make any reasonable bet, he will most likely call. But I check, and he bets the turn of $20. I could go for a check raise here, but I stay with the plan of taking a weird line and plan to donk lead the river. I call. The river is the ace of spades, and now I follow through and donk lead for $40. He goes into the tank, thinking for quite a long time. Finally, he decides on a raise to $200. I don't have much history with the player at all. First time I've ever played at the table with him, so now I start running through his possible hands. Let's listen in.
Super cooler tonight. Super cooler. Just don't know if you think you're betting the best hand or not. I mean, no way you have ace king, ace jack.
I know I'm reading this situation correctly. Ace jack through ace king gets a raise pre-flop. Ace deuce through ace 5 most likely doesn't raise this river. So that leaves 3 hands that beat me, ace 6, ace 7, ace 10, and 2 that don't, ace 8 and ace 9. But I block those 2. And this is exactly where the accountability of this vlog comes in. This is the way you have to think in order to make the next step in poker. I don't beat any hands that make any sense, and this is a clear fold. A tough fold for most of us degen shit reg players, but a fold. Well, what the hell do I know? Fuck it, I call. And he shows us ace 10. Now I have to watch myself call out a hand, be beat, and still give my money over and over again until I post this vlog. Super tough night for us. Lost 2 buy-ins, $600, because we're not good enough to fold the nut straight when the board pair's on the river, and because we got set over set. You know, I guess it's like that sometimes in poker. You gotta take the good with the bad, and we'll be back at it.